What's good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and this one will break down what's going on with the overall market, what you should be watching for moving forward. I'm also going to talk about Tesla SPY and the QQQ and break down some very important levels and something very big that's forming on the charts right now. I'm also going to talk about some big news that came out involving Elizabeth Warren and Tesla, and something very big that's making all the headlines right now. Before I break anything about all this news that's coming out and what's going on with the technicals for these stocks, I have to mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And don't forget about the Webull link. The offer ends very soon. If you deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. Anyways, now let's talk about the market, what's going on with Tesla, and etc. Tesla's up at about 2.5% as of right now. It's at about $288.5 a share. So far, holding up quite decently. But if you look at Tesla, okay, like I told you guys earlier, we might get a nice pump to open us up. We got a very nice pump to this 292 area. And this happens to be where our resistance was right about here, 292. And then we came right back down. We remained very tight after that, but we had quite a bit of negative news that ended up coming out involving earnings and also Elizabeth Warren. So I'm going to break those down in just a couple of minutes. But let me first make one little adjustment and then talk about Tesla. For Tesla, it got a little bit tight, but it's holding up quite nicely so far. But when it comes to the expectations for earnings, they're not the strongest now. We are anticipating that Tesla is going to beat on EPS and revenue, according to many analysts, but many of them are saying some negative things. They're saying that Tesla is going to likely have very bad margins. In the morning, one of these analysts said that Tesla is likely going to have the worst margins we've seen since the last 3 years. And they're saying that Tesla, once again, could suffer for the next year because of it. They mentioned that the price cuts were too stringent by Tesla. They're hurting the company. And they had many contentious views about the moves Tesla has made. That's part of why Tesla did end up seeing like a small sell off today before coming right back up. Then there was this other piece of news that came out about how Senator Elizabeth Warren wants the US or SEC to basically investigate Tesla over potential conflicts caused by Elon Musk running the company and the social media platform Twitter simultaneously. So honestly, guys, I'm not going to take any views on this individual or anything political. I'm going to be as unbiased as possible. She has her reasons to, make this announcement or to say this, and it's making all these different headlines. I mean, it's even on CNBC. It's just basically everywhere. You can see it right here. Elizabeth Warren is saying the same thing. Could you agree with her? It's up to you. Could you disagree? Sure. I honestly don't really mind. You could do whatever you want. But the bottom line is, when news like this comes out with a potential SEC investigation once again for Tesla, it's making all these headlines and it has led to some selling pressure for Tesla. That is once again not very good for them. You can see right over here. I think it mentions it right over here. Warren is basically implying that there's lots of conflicts of interest and many other things, and it's had negative effects on Tesla shareholders, basically. Could she be right? Maybe. Could she be wrong? Yes. I don't honestly have like an opinion to put on this. I just want to note that this news has been negative, and that's part of why Tesla sold off a little bit today before coming right back up. And could this just be a game of politics? It really could be. At the same time, it may not be. Who knows, right? I'm not taking any stances. The bottom line is that's part of why Tesla ended up performing the way it did. That's why Tesla remained even more choppy than how it could have been. But if anything, it came very close to our target. Remember, I was talking about this like 295 area. We came very close. We hit 292 today. So if it breaks this high it made right here, sometime going into later, this week, maybe by tomorrow. If we break 292, this thing's going to fly up very close to 295 plus. Break 295, then 300 becomes very possible. My target has been around this 295 area, if not 300 if we break it. And we came very close. The thing about Tesla is we're pretty close to it. I mean, we're only just a couple of dollars away from 292. So I still think it's very possible for Tesla to make its way up. But always be prepared for these like very volatile moves, these like pumps and dumps intraday because of all this negative news. And I want you guys to be prepared now because these analysts are coming out and saying lots of negative things about Tesla's margins. So just be prepared for that. I still think it could pump once again to these high levels later on, and we're just going to be watching these levels very carefully. All right, so what levels should you be watching for on Tesla? If Tesla were to break below 288.5, watch 287.8 as another support, which is where our 1 hour 5 EMA happens to be. If it breaks below that, we have some support around this 286.5 area, and then below that, there's much more support around the 285 zone. If Tesla starts to break to the upside, you're going to be watching 290 as resistance. Break above that, then the 292 zone is the next resistance zone. And like I said before, above that, then we have this 295 zone as our next important level. In my opinion, it looks like Tesla's just going to try to hold up for the majority or the rest of the trading day. But be prepared for the final hour because there is a risk of something to happen involving a lot more volatility because SPY's max pain's around 449 and it's been pumping quite nicely. But there is one warning I have. I mean, it really depends on the levels it breaks around because when you look at the 1 hour time frame, there's a possible kind of like strange looking head and shoulders formation. That is a possibility. If we break 451.36, then we have the potential to push up to 452 plus. It could push up all the way up here if we break this high it made from Friday, this resistance right here. But if it fails to do so, if we get a big rejection somewhere in the 451s, we're currently at 451.05. If we reject off this area and we fail to get above 451.36, we could see this thing come down pretty quickly to retest 450.5 to potentially 450 or so. And don't forget, max pain's in the 449, so that could change pretty quickly during the final hour. I also want to add that this could be a head and shoulders, and it technically is valid unless we break 451.36. So just be prepared for that. Be very, very careful and watch these levels very carefully. Now, when it comes to very important levels, this 451 zone is going to be our resistance on SPY. Break 451.36, then like I said before, there's 452 and then 452.5 to 452.69 because we got rejected off 452.69 many times in the past. If it breaks down, obviously we have support around this 450.5 zone, very close to our 5 EMA. And below that, there's the 450, 449.5, and then 448.95, followed by 448.5. So quite a bit of support on this thing. But here's the big thing about it. If we do somehow see a big rejection, just hypothetically, right? Our next really important level, the really important level to watch for is going to be the 50 EMA, the 448.5 area. Because if we break that and the 50 EMA, this thing is going to sink all the way down to fill the gap around 446.5. So just watch that very carefully. I know we have lots of these tight supports I was just talking about, but this is going to be like one of the most important ones to watch for if we do get some like really big break to the downside, hypothetically, right? We have big bank earnings coming out very soon, so just be very careful with those. And for now, we're just going to be watching these levels on SPY. Last but not least, for the triple Q, this thing is testing 382. Could be forming a head and shoulders as well as somewhat slanted if we fail to break 382.86. If we fail to break this high, right, it's very tight. If we fail to break this, it could start to come back down to these lower levels. But if we break 382.86, it has the potential to fly all the way up to 384 plus, right? So these are the levels basically. Break this high, this previous high, I'm going to be watching 384. If it fails, if we get a rejection at the current level around the 382s, then there's a possible head and shoulders that's somewhat slanted, and it could come down to 380. We're going to watch the first support, which is very tight. And the reason why my supports are very tight is once again because we have a very choppy trend day. That's why the supports are just so tight like this. So first off, I'm sorry, we have 381.5, our 5 EMA. Below that, then if it breaks below that, it's likely going to come all the way down to like 380 or very close to that. And if that fails us, you're going to be watching 379, 377.99, and then 377.21 on the triple Q. I also want to add that if we do end up getting below this 377 support, it's going to likely come all the way down below 375 or so and potentially down to like 373 to fill the gap. So we're going to be watching these levels very carefully. Do we reject off this level or do we try to break above it? If you look at SPY, it did reject a little bit so far, but I'd wait for some confirmation first. This is not like a true confirmed rejection just yet. Just be very careful. And don't forget that we do have some negative divergences on the 5-minute, the 1-minute, and if you look at the 5-minute, the RSI and the MACD are showing a negative divergence. The 3 minutes, same thing on the 3 minutes, 1 minute, same thing. So that does suggest the market could cool off a bit, but not a guarantee until we get the true confirmation. So just watch these levels carefully, see how we hold. You can see right now we're still in the very high 450s. I'm sorry, 450.8. I mean, the very, very high levels like that to the pennies. So we're just going to watch it, see how this thing goes, and then all of this will affect Tesla. And as for Tesla, Tesla does have potential for upside. right? It could still pump more tomorrow and beyond. I still think it can, most definitely, especially in the mornings. But just be careful with it now because, like I said before, we have these external factors that affect Tesla. And we have like this news involving the SEC and Elizabeth Warren coming out. And we have all these analysts just saying very negative things about Tesla's margins, which has affected it as well. So just be careful with that. I do think it could pump in the morning again and it could still hold up very nicely, but just be very well aware of all of this and keep this in the back of your mind. All right, guys, thank you for listening. Have a great day, everyone. I hope you guys kill it for the rest of the day. We have about an hour and a half until the market closes. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon because the long term is still incredibly bright alongside for the whole market. And peace out.